Jai Vishnupada Paramahansa Padivrija Chakracharya Ashtotter Shri Srimati Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्यामा कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। मथुरापुरी वृंदावन ब्रजभूमि धाम की जय। गंगा माई जमुना माई की जय। तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की जय। श्याम वेद भक्त वृंद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि बोल। All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Hare Bol. So today is Wednesday. We are reading from Caitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 5, and we are starting from text 135. So, Narsingha Prabhu, can you please recite 134? We are starting, Mataji, or 135?
135. It's 135, yeah.
135, yeah. Okay, please. Narsingha Prabhu, are you there?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, Prabhu. Please recite the verses. So.
গোপালের আগে যবে প্রভুর হয় স্থিতি ভক্তগণে দেখে যেন দুহে এক মূর্তি।
When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was sitting before Gopal deities, all the devotees saw him and the deities as being the same form. So we are reading the description of in the chapter of activities of Sakshi Gopal. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was visiting the Sakshi Gopal temple, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was sitting right in front of the deities, and Nityananda Prabhu was with him. In this chapter, he recited whole story of Sakshi Gopal to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and other devotees, because he was there before when he was touring with us, with sannyasi all around all the pilgrimage areas, he was visiting. So at that time, he heard from the villagers about the story of Sakshi Gopal. So the same story he was reciting to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and other devotees. So here we are reading that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was sitting right in front of the Gopal deities, and all the devotees were seeing the deity also and the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, and they were seeing them in the same form, that they look exactly the same. So how they were looking exactly same, we will read in the next few verses. Next verse, please.
দুহে এক বর্ণ, দুহে প্রকাণ্ড শরীর, দুহে রক্তাম্বর, দুহার স্বভাব গম্ভীর।
So both of them were same complexion, and both had the same gigantic bodies. Both were saffron clothes, and both were very grave. So we can see here that the both deity form of the Lord and the Lord himself, both were sitting right there. So, and there is so similarity because they are the same person. Deity is non-different than the Lord himself. There is no difference. It is exactly same as the Lord. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, as we know, he was Lord Krishna himself. Radha Krishna nahi anya. So he is the same. So their complexion also was the same, and they had the same kind of gigantic bodies, and they both were wearing the saffron cloth, and they both were very grave. So we have seen, the deity's form is non-dependent form, and we have heard many stories about that, like Jagannath deities and the Lord Jagannath, they are not non-different. It's not just a deity form. So we have seen that story many times, that there was a young girl, teenager, she was singing very sweet voice about the Gita Govinda, and all in the temple, Lord was hearing this sound in the night time, evening, like after pujaris put him to sleep, he was hearing that song. sung by that young girl, and Jagannath ji will go out, and then he will hear the sound and stay there and hearing the sound and then come back for the Mangal Aarti. So he was doing that almost every night. So one night he was coming back, and when Jagannath ji was in hurry, he noticed that the time was for Mangal Aarti. So he just rushed to the temple, and his cloth was stuck in a babul tree. It's in the sharp object, and some small piece of cloth was torn, and he came like that. When Pujari noticed how the cloth was torn of the Jagannath ji, because he put it the night time, he saw it was all right, how it torn. So he tried to find out, and he reported to the king also, and then they found out that this cloth was hanging there in the forest, little while away from the temple. So Lord came in the dream of Pujari that I go there and he hear the song of that girl who sings so nicely. So then the king ordered that girl should sing for Jagannath ji in the temple. So Lord need not to go out. So today also Git Govind is sung in front of Lord Jagannath. So there are so many stories, like we see here, so many stories of Lord Jagannath ji in the Mayapur also, many stories. And even in this chapter itself of the Sakshi Gopal, Lord Gopal came himself, walked so many miles from Vrindavan to Vidyanagar. So many miles he walked just to work as a witness. So we can imagine how Lord reciprocates with his devotees. So that's actually very great thing. And we should see that Lord, whenever we see the deity of the Lord in the temple, it's not deities actually, it's a Lord, Sakshat Hari. It's a Lord Hari himself, So there should be no distinction between the deity form. So actually, Archa Vigra, Lord may appear in the form of Archa Vigra, but it's really Lord himself. It may be made from different products, like water or earth or marble, wood, stone, or any other metal, Ashtadhatu, whatever. But they are actually Lord himself. So in all the Vedic literature, we can find the deity form of the Lord referred to it's a tangible physical representation of the Supreme Lord. It's the Lord himself. And it is worshipped in the temple. And Lord takes that form to be compassionate on all the devotees because he wants to accept the services of the devotees. And that's why Lord takes that form. But we should not feel that it's not Lord, it's not ideal or the statues, we should definitely feel the way that this is Lord himself. So next verse, please.
মহা তেজময় দুহে কমল নয়ন, দুহার ভাবাবেশে দুহে চন্দ্রবদন.
The devotees saw both the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Gopal. They were brilliantly effulgent and had eyes like lotus. They were both absorbed in ecstasy and their faces resembled full moons. So here we can see that Lord, devotees are seeing Lord. In the last verse, we saw that they both were grave. So actually, we can see it's grave is the qualification, It's Krishna has that quality, and we can see that the same thing we can see in the life of Srila Prabhupada, how grave he was. He was actually very lovingly exchanging with his devotees, but at the same time, he was grave. So grave is the great quality. It's like serious person with a serious, but still at the same time sober. And he is not light in the behavior, So this implies, the grave word implies with the seriousness and also at the same time dignity in expression of the attitude of the person. So when we see the word in, because it's a given in the Rupa Goswami has given that graveness in the qualities, 64 qualities of Krishna also, and the qualities of the devotees also. That this is the characteristic of a devotee who possesses deep, profound, and serious qualities. Grave devotee is not easily swayed by worldly desires or emotions. So that is the quality, that he is not moved according to his different desires. They are very strict in their principles. So no emotions, and he should not be moved like that by emotions and desires. And they should keep the steadfast focus on their spiritual path. So, and deep, and they have deep reverence for the Supreme Lord, and does the bhakti very steadily, not swinging away here and there. So another thing we can see in this verse, that they were barely effulgent and also had the eyes like lotuses. So we can see the lotus is very often used with Lord Krishna, that he has lotus eye, lotus navel, lotus face. So many hands and feet is also lotus. And so there is so many phrases, used for Lord Krishna. So several part of the Lord Krishna is compared with the lotus flower. And that way we can highlight the beauty of the Lord, purity of the Lord, and spiritual significance of the Lord. So this comparison we do with the different parts of the body, like eyes, navel, face, hands, feet. So sometimes even the garland is also compared to the lotus of the Lord. So we can see in Srila Prabhupada's books and Vani Code also, that lotus itself is the symbol of spiritual enlightenment. So when we use the word of lotus itself, it shows the purity. Lotus is so white and so effulgent and looks so great, that we can see that this has so much purity in it. Now, other thing is also compare their faces or like a full moon, and we can see like moon is so beautiful, especially when we see on the Purnima night how brilliant, how bright the moon looks, and everybody likes to see the moon on full moon night. And many times in Western countries, people get really wild just by seeing the moon, because it has effect on the minds of the people. When I used to go to hospital on full moon night, the nurses will tell me, doctor, it's a full moon night. That means many crazies will be coming tonight. So that was happening actually, so people get so moody on that night. So resembling full moon is really great thing, because it shows the beauty of the Lord, and how beautiful it is. Next verse, please.
দুহা দেখি নিত্যানন্দ প্রভু মহারঙ্গে ঠারাঠারি করি হাসে ভক্তগণ সঙ্গে.
When Nityananda saw both Gopal deity and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in that way, he began to exchange remarks with devotees, all of whom were smiling. So all the devotees present there, they were looking Gopal deities and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Nityananda Prabhu also saw that how similar they look and how effulgently they are looking like moon. So he was enjoying with all the devotees the beauty, and also everything, what is described here. They were looking, and all devotees were smiling, and they were so happy from inside that, see, it is a great fortune actually seeing the deity and the Lord himself together, at the same place. And they were really thinking that they are so fortunate to see the Lord in that way, in that great mood, and that's why they were all smiling. Next, please.
এই মতো মহারঙ্গে যে রাত্রি বহিয়া বাঞ্ছিয়া প্রভাতে চলিলাম মঙ্গল আরতি তেঙ্কিয়া।
Thus, with great pleasure, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed that night in the temple. After seeing the Mangala Arati ceremony in the morning, he started on his journey. So we can see here that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself is so pleasant there, so like with great pleasure, he took part in the evening arti, and then he took the rest in the temple itself of Gopalji. And in the morning, he attended Mangala Arati ceremony, and after that, he started his journey. So we can see the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was staying in different temples, and he was enjoying his journey with few of his devotees, and he was going to Jagannath Puri, because after sannyas, this was yatra from, this is whole description we are reading is his travel from Navadvip, from the house of where he started from. Can somebody help me where he started yatra in Navadvip? Advaitacharya's house. Yes, Mataji. Yeah, I was missing the name. So Advaitacharya's house he started, and then he's visiting different places and going to Jagannath Puri is requested by his mother that you please stay in Jagannath Puri so he can get the news of his well-being and what his activities and other things. So that's why, because devotees from Navadvip all the time in Chaturmas, they visit Jagannath Puri all the time and stay there for 4 months with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that way she was getting the news and everything. That so he started in the morning from the temple to go to Jagannath Puri. So next few verses we will read where he went, what temples he visited before he visited Jagannath Puri. So next verse, please, 140.
ভুবনেশ্বর পথে জইছে কইল দর্শন, বিস্তারি বর্ণিয়াছে দাস বৃন্দাবন।
In his book Chaitanya Bhagavat, Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur has very vividly described the places visited by Lord on the way to Bhubaneswar. So from here he is going to Bhubaneswar, and from Bhubaneswar he will go to Jagannath Puri. So we are reading actually the last few verses. There are verses till 161 in this chapter. So we will try to finish it today if possible. If not, then we will do next time, next Wednesday. But in the purport Prabhupada is writing in his book Chaitanya Bhagavat, Antya Khanda, Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur has very nicely described the Lord's journey en route to Cuttack. On that journey, the Lord visited a place known as Bilahasta or Bala Kati. He then visited the city of Bhubaneswar, where Lord Shiva's temple is located. The temple of Bhubaneswar is situated about 5 to 6 miles from Balakati. The temple of Lord Shiva is mentioned in the Puran, in the narration about the Lord's garden and the one mango tree. The king named Kashiraj wanted to fight with Lord Krishna, and consequently he took shelter of Lord Shiva to acquire the power to fight the Lord. Being pleased with his worship, Lord Shiva helped him fight Krishna. Lord Shiva's name is Ashutosh, which indicates that he is very easily satisfied when one worships him, regardless of the purpose. And he gives his devotee whatever benefit the devotee wants. Therefore, people in general are very fond of worshipping Lord Shiva. Thus, Kashiraj was helped by Lord Shiva. But in the fight with the Lord Krishna, he was not only defeated, but killed. In this way, the weapon known as Pashupati Astra was baffled. And Krishna set fire to the city of Kashi. Later, Lord Shiva became conscious of his mistake in helping Kashiraj, and he begged Lord Krishna's forgiveness. as a benediction from Lord Krishna, he received a place known as Ekamra. Later, the king of the Keshri dynasty established their capital there, and for many hundreds of years they regained over the state of Odisha. So this is the history of how Bhubaneswar city was built, and also how in the Bhubaneswar Lord Shiva's temple, which is known as Lingaraj temple, is there. So there is a lot of description about Lingaraj temple also, and so Lord was going to in route to Cuttack. He stayed in it's a place known as Belahasta, or also Bela Kati. So he visited that place, and on that journey he also visited the Bhubaneswar. So Bhubaneswar is very famous temple, Lingaraj temple, and it is located right in the city, and very beautiful temple, very old temple there. I had the good fortune to visit with Radhanath Swami Maharaj, that temple in the Yatra, and very beautiful temple. And by the side of the temple there is Bindu Sarovar, the beautiful lake, very crystal clear water. And so here is story, how Lord Shiva came. So story is in the purpose Srila Prabhupada kindly puts it is in the Skanda Puran. There is narration that there was a mango tree. So under the mango tree, Lord Shiva came himself, as a Lingaraj, as a Linga. There was Shiv Linga there, and it was self-manifested. Nobody put it there, but it manifested. That's why it says Swayambhu. So it's a self-manifested Linga. Lord Shiva was there, and for many, many ages, years and years, it was worshipped there. And later on, the king made the beautiful temple for Lord Shiva there, and that's known as Lingaraj temple, which is very famous temple in the city of Bhubaneswar. And also in the same city, our temple is there. ISKCON temple is also there. And Gaur Govinda Maharaj, actually, he was living in a very hut, in a small, like cow dung hut, and very humble state he was living many, and then he built very nice ISKCON temple there. So when Srila Prabhupada visited Gaur Govinda Maharaj in Bhubaneswar, then Maharaj actually requested Prabhupada to stay in one of the members' house, so he can be comfortable. But Prabhupada stayed with Gaur Govinda Maharaj in that hut also, and for many days, and he was discussing with Gaur Govinda Maharaj all the plans and everything. So we can imagine how Prabhupada wanted to live so simply. He rather than staying somebody's house, he wanted to stay with Gaur Govinda Maharaj and discuss about Krishna and all the future plans to develop Krishna consciousness in that part of the country. So we can see that this was the dedication of Srila Prabhupada, that he was not worried about his own comfort, but he was worried about how we can spread this Krishna conscious movement. So that is the most important thing. So there is a story also that how Lord Shiva actually built that Bindu Sarovar near that. So he brought all the water from all the holy places and all the holy rivers, and then put drops there in the water there in the Bindu Sarovar, and then all the water came, and that Bindu Sarovar is so holy place, so spiritualized, that if people take bath in that every day, they will not have any diseases. All the diseases are cured. Mostly Prabhupada is writing here, disease of the stomach is equal, no indigestion, nothing, no acidity, no indigestion. So all the stomach diseases are cured. And if you take regular bath, then you will not get diseased. So many people take bath there. Water is very clean there, and people don't make it dirty, and don't throw anything in the river. So that is still river is still that lake is so beautiful and so clean. And if you take some drops of water, then all the stomach diseases are cured. So also Prabhupada is writing in the purport about the Lord Shiva having war with Lord Krishna. And why? So story is given in Srimad Bhagavatam also, that when Banasur's daughter Usha, she fell in love with her son when he came there, like he was brought there. Banasur's daughter brought the Aniruddha, sorry, not Sam, Aniruddha, which was son of the Pradyumna. So he was brought by some magic by Usha's friend, and she brought him there. And when Banasur knew that he is here, he make him a prisoner there. And when Narad Muni visited that place, and then after that he went to Dwarika and told Krishna and Balramji that our Aniruddha is prison there. So Balramji came there, and Lord Krishna came, and they had a fight with the Banasur. And so Banasur was the devotee of Lord Shiva. So at that time, he asked help of Lord Shiva also. So Shiva came, and Lord Shiva was fighting with Krishna, but Krishna and Kashiraj was Banasur's friend. So he was helping him, and Kashiraj was killed there in the fight, because Krishna actually killed Kashiraj and also burned the whole city of Kashi. And this place, known as the Gupta Kashi, actually. Gupta Kashi or Gupta Varanasi, concealed Varanasi, which we are going to read in next. So we can see that how Shiva came later on is given in the purport that, and he asked forgiveness from Lord Krishna that he should, and Krishna told him, that he should not be so lenient in giving the benediction to this kind of people because they misuse it. So, and as a benediction from Lord Krishna, he received a place known as Ekambra Kanan. Ekambra means there were all mango trees, and Kanan means a forest. So he got a place, and there the Keshri kings, they made the capital there, big capital. That's the Bhubaneswar city now. Okay, and then slowly that dynasty, Keshri dynasty, they all like got a big kingdom. They increased their kingdom, and whole state of Orissa was theirs later on. Next verse, please.
কমলপুরে আসি ভার্গী নদী স্নান কইল, নিত্যানন্দ হাতে প্রভু দণ্ড ধরিল।
When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived at Kamalpur, he took his bath in Bhargi Nadi river and left his sannyas staff in the hands of Lord Nityananda. Purport in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Antyakhanda chapter 2, it is said that when Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived at Sri Bhubaneswar, he visited the temple of Lord Shiva known as Gupta Kashi or concealed Varanasi. Lord Shiva established this place of pilgrimage by bringing water from all holy places and creating the lake known as Bindu Sarovar. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took his bath in this lake, feeling a great regard for Lord Shiva. From the spiritual point of view, people still go to take the bath in this lake. Actually, by taking a bath there, one becomes very healthy, even from material viewpoint. Taking a bath and drinking the water of the lake can cure the disease of the stomach regular bathing certainly cures indigestion. The river Bhargi or Bhargi Nadi is known as Dandbhanga Nadi. It is situated 6 miles north of Jagannath Puri. The reason for the change in the name is given as follows. So next few verses we will read that how the Bhargi Nadi or Bhargi River is known now as Dandabhanga, because there the sannyas danda of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was broken by Nityananda Prabhu and was thrown in that river. That's why it's known as Dandabhanga Nadi. So here is written about the Bindu Sarovar, that how people take advantage of spiritually also, spiritual enlightenment also, and health-wise also people go there, because if you take bath there, it keeps healthy. You can keep your body healthy, and also there, if you drink some water also, then there will be no stomach diseases at all. Next verse, please.
কপতেশ্বর দেখিতা গেলা ভক্তগণ সঙ্গে, হেতা নিত্যানন্দ প্রভু কইল দণ্ড ভঙ্গে। 3 খণ্ড করি দণ্ড দিল ভাসায়া, ভক্ত সঙ্গে আইলা প্রভু মহেশ দেখিয়া।
When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the temple of Lord Shiva known as Kopateshwar, Nityananda Prabhu, who was keeping his sannyas stuff in the custody, broke the stuff in 3 parts and threw it in the river Bhargi Nadi. Later, this river became known as Dandabhanga Nadi. In the purport, the mystery of sannyas danda stuff of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has been explained by Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the order of sannyas from Mayavadi sannyasi. The Mayavadi sannyasi generally carry 1 staff or danda, taking advantage of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's absence. Sri Nityananda Prabhu broke the staff into 3 parts and threw it in the river, now known as Dandabhanga Nadi. In the sannyas order, there are 4 divisions: Kutika, Kutichaka, Bahudaka, Hamsa, and Paramhamsa. Only when the sannyasi remains on the Kutichaka and Bahudaka platform can carry the stuff. However, when one is elevated to the status of Hansa or Paramhans, after touring and preaching the bhakti cult, he must give up the sannyas stuff. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is therefore said, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. 2 personalities, Srimati Radharani and Krishna, are combined in the incarnation of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, considering Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be an extraordinary person, Lord Nityananda Prabhu did not wait for the Paramahansa stage. He responded that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is automatically on the Paramahansa stage. Therefore, he does not need to carry the sannyas danda. In this is the reason Sri Nityananda Prabhu broke the stuff into 3 pieces and threw it in the river. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came in the Kopateshwar town, and there was a Kopateshwar Mahadev temple, and by the side of the temple there was a river known as Bhargi River or Bhargi Nadi. So he took the bath there and gave his sannyas danda to Nityananda Prabhu. So Nityananda Prabhu thought that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Lord himself. He need not to carry this danda all the time with him, And so that's why he wanted to relieve the burden of the danda. So he broke in 3 pieces and threw it in the river. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to carry it. That's why he showed his anger to Nityananda Prabhu, that why you broke it. That was the only thing, I wanted to keep in my hand. So, but Nityananda Prabhu thought that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Lord himself, and he is above the Kutichaka and Bahudaka divisions of sannyas, because this kind of sannyas actually, like Kutichaka is living in the cottage, even in the same town, you can have a cottage outside the city, and you can live there, and the food can come from your house, like that, so it's no problem. And Bahudaka is, they beg whenever necessary, and if the people don't give, they can go out and beg. So this is the Bahudaka. So in these two stages, initial stages of sannyas, the sannyasi can have the danda, sannyas danda in their hand. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas from Keshav Bharati, which was Mayavadi sannyasi, and they used to have the one danda only, and like one stick inside. And Vaishnava sannyasi actually carry the three danda. They represent the body, mind, so everything, like that. So all three, all the activities, karma, their vachan, everything, they are under control. So that's what the Vaishnava Danda, Vaishnava sannyasis represents, So Nityananda Prabhu thought that why Lord should carry this sannyas danda, because he is above even to the Paramahansa stage. So there is no need for him. And that's why he broke it. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed him his anger to him, so which we will read in the next few verses. Next verse, please.
জগন্নাথের দেউল দেখি আবিষ্ট হইলা, দণ্ডবৎ করি প্রেমে নাচিতা লাগিলা।
After seeing the temple of Jagannath from a distant place, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself immediately became ecstatic. After offering obeisances to the temple, he began to dance in ecstasy of love of God. The word Deula refers to the temple where Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated. The present temple of Jagannath Puri was constructed by King Ananga Bhima. Historian says this temple must have been constructed at least 2000 years ago. During the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the small buildings surrounding the original temple had not been constructed, nor was a high platform in front of the temple present during the time of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So here Srila Prabhupada is writing, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was visiting Jagannath temple, at that time, temple was very small. There are so many buildings now around the temple, which were not at the time when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited Jagannath Puri. And also now there is a big kind of like a stage, in front of the deities. And that was also not, because at olden time, people can go very close to the deities. Now they cannot go because there is a big construction there right in front of there is a big platform in front of the temple now, which was not present during that time. So there is, and when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he saw from very far distance, he saw the temple, then he immediately got so happy and he offered his obeisances. Just by seeing the top part of the temple, he could not see too much from that far away, because it was a few miles away, but he still began to dance. He got so ecstatic that he, in the love of God, that he started dancing. Next verse, please.
ভক্তগণে আবিষ্ট হইয়া সবে নাচে গায়, প্রেমাবেশে প্রভু সঙ্গে রাজমার্গে যায়।
All the devotees became ecstatic in the association of Lord Chaitanya, and thus absorbed in the love of God. They were dancing and singing while going along the main road. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got so ecstatic, so all the devotees also became so ecstatic in the association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and they also absorbed in the love of God. So they all were dancing and singing while going on the main road to Jagannath Puri. Next verse, please.
হাসে কান্দে নাচে প্রভু হুঙ্কার গর্জন, 3 ক্রোশ পথ হইল সহস্র যোজন।
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu laughed, cried, danced, and made many ecstatic vibrations and sounds. Although the temple was only 6 miles away, to him the distance seemed thousands of miles. So he wanted to see, take the darshan of Jagannath deities, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he was in so much happiness, but this temple, still he was 6 miles away from the temple, but that seems like it's thousands and thousands miles away, because he was so much like thinking to see the Jagannath as soon as possible. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in ecstasy, he considered one moment to last as long as 12 years. After seeing the Jagannath temple from a distant place, the Lord became so ecstatic that he considered the 6-mile path many thousands of miles long. Next verse, please.
চলিতে চলিতে প্রভু আইলা 18 নালা, তাহা আসি প্রভু কিছু বাহ্য প্রকাশিলা।
Thus, walking and walking, Lord eventually arrived at the place known as Athar Nala. Arriving there, he expressed his external consciousness, speaking to Nityananda Prabhu. So, when Lord arrived at Athar Nala is the place, it starts, Jagannath Puri starts from Athar Nala. Athar Nala is the, Nala, is like a drainage, all the drainage comes from the city. It was, at that time when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited, it was small, but now there is a big river. Athar means 18. There is 18 pillars, there is a big bridge now. Then there are 18 pillars there. So that's what is known as Athar Nala. So Athar Nala is the place, where the city starts, Jagannath Puri city starts. It's still away a little bit from the temple, but at that place Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got, after walking, he came out of the ecstasy, and he got some external consciousness, because before that he was all the time in the thought of doing the darshan of Jagannath Ji, and he was not in full consciousness. But here, when he comes in external consciousness, then he started talking to Nityananda Prabhu, who was walking along with him. Next verse, please.
নিত্যানন্দে কহে প্রভু দেহ মোর দণ্ড, নিত্যানন্দ বলে দ্বন্দ্ব হইল 3 খণ্ড।
When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had thus regained external consciousness, he asked Lord Chaitanya, Nityananda Prabhu, please return my stuff. Nityananda Prabhu then replied, it has been broken into 3 parts. So now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking that please give me my sannyas danda. And Nityananda Prabhu said that Mahaprabhu, it is broken in 3 parts, and that's why I have thrown it. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was showing, in the next verse we'll read how he's showing his anger and Nityananda Mahaprabhu. Next verse, please.
প্রেমাবেশে পড়িলা তুমি তোমারে ধরিনু, তোমা সহ সেই দণ্ডে উপরে পড়িনু।
Nityananda Prabhu said, when you fell down in ecstasy, I caught you, but both of us together fell upon the step. So Nityananda Prabhu is explaining him, which is actually not true, but he just, to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he wanted that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu should not get angry too much. That's why he said that when you fell down, when you were in the love of ecstasy of the Lord Jagannath Ji, then you fell down and I caught you, but both of us together fell. So both of us fell down on your sannyas danda, and that's why your danda broke. Next verse.
দুজনার ভরে দণ্ড খণ্ড খণ্ড হইল, সেই খণ্ড কাহা পড়িল কিছু না জানিল।
So thus the stuff broke under our weight. Where the pieces have gone, I cannot say. Although Nityananda Prabhu threw it in the Bhargi river, and that's why Bhargi river is known as Danda Bhanga, because Danda was broken there. That's why it's known as Danda Bhanga river. So, but he's saying to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that because of weight of both of us, the sannyas danda was broken, and where the pieces are gone, I cannot say. I cannot say where the pieces are. That means he has thrown them. Next verse, please.
মোরও অপরাধে তোমার দণ্ড হইল খণ্ড, যে উচিত হয় মোর কর তার দণ্ড।
It is certainly because of my offense that your stuff has broken. Now you can punish me on this account as you think proper. So he's asking that whatever punishment you want to give, please give me. But this is the reason. This was, he said, my offense that it was broken. You gave me in my custody your sannyas danda, and it is broken now. So it is my fault, and you can punish me whatever you want to punish me, and whatever you think proper. Next verse.
শুনি কিছু মহাপ্রভু দুঃখ প্রকাশিলা, ঈষৎ ক্রোধ করি কিছু কহিতা লাগিলা।
After hearing the story about how his stuff has been broken, Lord expressed a little sadness and, displaying a bit of anger, began to speak as follows. Sri Nityananda Prabhu considered Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's acceptance of sannyas to be useless. He therefore relieved the Lord of the trouble of carrying the stuff. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu expressed anger because he wanted to teach all other sannyasis that they should not give up the stuff before attending the platform of Paramhansa. Seeing that the regulatory principles could be slackened by such action, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to carry the stuff personally. However, Nityananda Prabhu broke it. For this reason, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu displayed a little anger. It is said in Bhagavad Gita, Yad yad acharati shrestha tad tad evotara jana. Whatever great people do, others follow. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to follow the Vedic principles strictly in order to save inexperienced neophytes who try to imitate Paramhansas. So, Nityananda Prabhu actually, we can see here how he didn't wanted Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to have the burden of carrying the sannyas danda with him all the time, because he knew very well that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is much above the stage of Paramahansa. So he need not to carry. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually wanted to be as exemplary sannyasi. He wanted to give example to all of us that when we take sannyas ashram, then sannyasi should carry this stuff, not like keeping it somewhere and not carrying all the time. So that's why he wanted to make himself exemplary, that people follow, because whatever great persons do, other people follow. So he wanted to be a proper example, and that's why he wanted to carry. So as there is a rule, only when you are in Paramahansa stage, at that time, if you don't keep the sannyas danda, that's fine. But in all other places, you must have the danda with you. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't want it, that he is the great soul or he is Paramhans. So that's why he wanted to carry the sannyas danda with him. And that's why he showed anger when he knew. And Nityananda Prabhu also knew. They both knew, but they both had different thought and they acted accordingly. But this was all actually Leela, because both lords knew that what is going on, but they were showing the Leela. And it is all to teach us actually that how the people in this world should follow. and Vedic is. So that's how I say Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to follow the Vedic principles strictly in order to save inexperienced neophytes who try to imitate Paramahansa. So because many sannyasis, that I'm already Paramahansa, I need not to carry the sannyas danda. So that's bad. So he said that people should not imitate the Paramahansa. Paramahansa is a very big kind of sannyasi, everything they are detached to everything. So that thing has to be there. Otherwise, they should not give up like that. So I will end here. It was 152, and we can start from 153 next week. Anybody has? We still have 15 less than 15 minutes. So anybody has any comments, questions, we can discuss, and we can discuss more if anybody wants. So thank you very much for listening and giving me this great opportunity to read Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is so nectarian grantha, and we can see how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is, by his own example, he's showing how a devotee should behave and how a devotee should get ecstatic, in front of the deities. And so these proper examples we have to see and try to follow them and go to the footsteps of our acharyas. That should be the great success in our life. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vishnu Gada Prabhuji. Do you have a comment, question?
Yes, Hare Krishna. All right. I was just wondering in the beginning, several questions.
Sure.
Lord Chaitanya's staff was broken by Sri Nityananda Prabhu, and he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If he wanted to have a staff, he could have. Why didn't he just have another staff made? That's one question. And then Srila Prabhupada, and there used to be a picture in the old temple room in Philadelphia of Srila Prabhupada with a danda, if you remember that. It was painted by Bhushara Prabhu. Do you know the time when Srila Prabhupada stopped taking his danda with him? Do you happen to know? And then early on, you mentioned about there are so many stories that, and you mentioned that the Shaksha Gopal story was told by the village people there, and you told the story about
Nityananda Prabhu.
Yes, and you told the story of the piece of cloth on the outside the temple of Jagannath. So there are many stories that people tell. How do we know which are? How would we know which are bona fide and which may not be bona fide? If you could.
Well, the stories are given by the acharyas, so we have to follow. We have to trust the acharyas, because they all the time see these things, and they see the leelas by their own eyes, So we have to trust somebody, We can say that how we can believe them, That's a different story. But sometimes we have to, and I don't think there is anything unbelievable that Lord Jagannath was going out of the temple. We have seen even in Sakshi Gopal how Lord can walk so much. So deities are not just the deities, like statues. They are Lord himself. And nobody can deny with that statement. It's a true statement. And why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't take another danda, he could have made that, but I do not know why he didn't make, but normally, whatever is given first time, that has much more importance by your own sannyas guru rather than making it again. It can be made if one want to carry, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I do not know whether he made it or not. I never heard anything about that. If you have any knowledge of that, please let me know.
Well, I don't know. I just wondered. And then, do you happen to know when Srila Prabhupada stopped taking his danda with him? Because there were pictures when he was, early on, that he would have pictures taken and pictures painted of him with the danda, standing by the danda.
Yeah, he was carrying, but many times we have seen many photos without danda also, but he's one of his person maybe carrying at that time, when like he's he's doing the obeisances in front of the deities or things like that, it's very hard to keep the danda all the time, performing any puj, any yagya and all those things, installation of the deities, so Prabhupada will keep it in the corner or give to one of his devotee, his assistant or secretary or somebody, so they may have it. So sometime in the photos we may not see it. It doesn't mean that he doesn't have the danda. He carried it, not all the time with him, but he had it.
Well, my recollection is that he carried it early on, but not like in 1976 when he came to New York to the 55th Street Temple. He wasn't. I don't know any picture any time there. I was there. He didn't carry the danda, so I was just, just an interesting point.
I see. Prabhu, I didn't notice those things, Whenever I see Prabhupada in Rath Yatra, I didn't thought about seeing the danda, but seeing Prabhupada, that was the great fortune, so just see his darshan, But I didn't notice that the danda was with him or not, I do not recall anything about that. So, and you have not seen either, but it may be with somebody, But I think Prabhupada had danda till the last minute, till he was in this material world. And we can still see in Vrindavan in his room, in the corner, it is still there. So I have no idea that why Prabhupada was not carrying it all the time, but because like Nityanand Prabhu says here that he wanted to relieve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from the burden of carrying it all the time, because it's a really very heavy job, to keep the danda all the time, because one hand is already occupied with that all the time, and it's very hard to do all the other functions. So that's why Prabhupada may have given it to somebody to carry along with him. So any other discussion, Prabhu? Anyone else has any other discussion or anything?
Hare Krishna, Kaivalya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Vishnugada Prabhu. I don't know the source of this, but I was once told, or I heard in a discussion that the topic had come up about carrying a danda, and I believe it was for a couple of years, upon receiving sannyas, that you have to carry the danda with you at all times. But then I guess it's maybe optional after that. You can do it, but maybe not required. But so you see sannyasis now walking around, traveling, and they don't have their danda with them. But the new sannyasis usually have it with them at all times.
Caitanya Cantor Das.
It wouldn't apply to Srila Prabhupada because he'd been a sannyasi for a long time, but I don't know the reason why.
So see, the people sometimes the sannyasis may think, that I'm senior now, so many years after sannyas. But if the sannyasi is in the beginning stage of the sannyas, the first two stages at least, they have to carry the sannyas. When they become paramhans, then only they can give the sannyas danda. So the devotees now, sannyasis, we can see they don't carry the danda because they travel a lot, and in the traveling, it's very much painful, especially in the securities. They don't let them take it, and they have to stay there for complete security for a long time. That's why it's a really time consuming, and they want to travel, because some people can hide inside the danda many things, and that's why they really security people don't like, and sannyasi has to travel for preaching purposes, so that's why they are not. But many sannyasis still keep the danda with them. I have seen, and some people who carry who travel too much, in the different countries, they don't carry it, because it's a really hard for them to take it from one country to other country, other country to other country. And that's why they started. And since this all the 9/11 and everything, security became so tight, and then that's why they all gave up, most of them. And that's why you don't see danda in sannyasi's hand anymore. But when they travel in India, many sannyasi I have seen, they still keep. And some you may see without danda also. So it's both, there's no hard and fast rule now. That's my observation. The truth may be different, I do not know, but that's I observe that way.
You're right, Prabhu, because of the security. Now, if they want to let you carry like long stick, is like a hazard, security risk. They can, terrorists can use it and hit people or something. So they don't allow this in the plane.
Right. Any other discussion? Then we can end here. And Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyo eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki jai. Caitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Kaivalya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.